Okay, it says I'm alive. I don't know if I'm alive or not. I might be dead. No, I'm not dead yet. I'm still talking, huh? Okay, anyhow. Yep. Nowadays, anybody can be Mgtow. Yep. The more and more I look around the Mgtow community, the more and more I realize how bad they've skewed the definition, the meaning, to their own wants. And so literally anybody can be Mgtow. That's right. When you skewed the definition of something, a tool that would have actually worked, a tool if enough men had done it could have actually have worked for correcting people's behaviors. But it comes back to recognizing right from wrong. One, checking their own selves and changing their behaviors to do unto one as you'd want done unto yourself. That's what it comes back to. Well, I ain't mad at Project Mayhem, okay? Okay, I'm not mad at him at all, when in doubt. It's just the message of Mgtow has been completely skewed, and it's not him that done it. It is our mainstream media who actually skewed the message to begin with. And it's people's ability to not look into anything, to not use critical thinking skills, and to run with whatever their TV set tells them. You know, and it's sad because it was deliberately done because Mgtow, if taken for real, was the answer. It is no more. You know, I get a kick out of watching all these people, how they're bragging Mgtow's going worldwide and bragging how it's going viral while they're not accomplishing a damn thing. They will never ever turn this around. They will ever never straighten up the behaviors of women. You will never ever bring the genders back together. It wasn't an accident that the meaning and the name of Mgtow was completely slaughtered. Mainstream media ran with it because mainstream media is controlled by military industrial complex. The problems that are passed down was part of the NWO agenda. I posted a video up today where UNESCO, United Nations, UNESCO is directly behind a breakdown of the family unit. They're behind the feminist movement. They're behind the division that's destroyed society to begin with amongst the genders. It's sad that people can't see this. I've tried and tried to tell people this for a long time. I'm not going to be upset with when in doubt because on a personal level, I don't know him. On a personal level, I recognize where he got his info and I recognize what he's preaching. And I also recognize that he's wasting his time, my time, and everybody's time. Because he will not correct anything without understanding where the problem come from and understanding that if you're going to go with men walking their own path, what mainstream media did, then anybody can be Mgtow. Anybody. You can be in love with a female, be getting sex all you want, be in a marriage, have a family, and still be Mgtow. See, this is the problem. Nobody took it seriously. You know as well as I do that if somebody's happily with a woman, if they're happy in that relationship and they're getting lots of sex, which is not a relationship, I mean, a relationship isn't founded on sex to begin with. Them were all tools that was used to destroy society, to destroy the relationships, to cause the divorce rate, to cause the problems that we're having. Not that when in doubt didn't have a good idea with Project Mayhem, but if you're going to continue to feed the enemy your ammunition, and you're going to continue to jump through the hoops and play games just to get laid, then you're going to continue to keep the problem alive and healthy. So I don't know why you claim you're fighting back. Because you're not. because they're still getting the wants. The women are still getting men. They're still getting to run you over. They're still getting all the corruption that they've been doing. You're not going to back them down for their corruption because you refuse to marry them. There's a lot of women anymore that don't care about getting married, man. They're still going to get their baby. They sure are. Because you men are still going to go there and give them their child and get butt raped by the court system. Excuse my language. But you are. And it's just, I'm all in for change. I'm all for me. I mean, personally, it's always been about helping other people. It's always been about trying to freaking bring the genders back together again and get both genders use their heads. But we're in a society filled full of people who listen to their television set. Nobody wants to use their brains to think with. Nobody wants to practice critical thinking skills, and everybody wants to think that they got the magic solution for something that was deliberately created. And when something good came up, like Mgtow, which was a great idea, I give Barbara Rosso our hands up for that because it was the one thing that would have actually worked. That's the only reason mainstream media got their hands on it and ran with it because, military industrial complex and UNESCO, United Nations, seeing that as a direct threat to the freaking decades that they put into destroying us. And it was, if it was taken seriously. And unfortunately, it means people have to suffer a little longer, but sometimes to correct something, you must suffer further before you can correct it. Sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do to correct a problem. Who wants to go to war and take the chance of getting shot and killed? Come on, raise your hands for all those that would like to have their arm blown off, their leg blown off, or take a bullet and die. And I don't think I'm going to see many hands raised if I ask that question. But yet, for centuries now, we've allowed a group of people to control us and dictate us that started every damn war we've ever been in. And we went off claiming we were going to grow up, we were going to become a man, and we were going to go into the military to grow up. What do you think boot camp was about? It was about indoctrination. It was about brainwash. It was about absolute control. And they owned you. They literally turned you into a slave and owned you. And you was too naive to see what was really going on. And they send you off to war telling you you're fighting for your freedom to protect your country. And the entire time you was never protecting your country, especially like with 9/11. You wasn't fighting for your freedom. You were killing innocent people so that lunatic psychopaths could steal and salvage other countries for their own gain. It'd be like a saying that was absolutely spoke. I think it was Kissinger that said it. The military is nothing but pawns for political gain. Okay? We are literally nothing but cattle. Being sheep, being herded, and we don't even realize it. Most people want to turn their back to it. And when it comes to the manosphere, and it comes to women, and it comes to men, and it comes to the family unit, and it comes to the division and the breakdown of the family unit, the destruction of the genders, it was never no accident. It was never an accident. There was no politician you could ever call. There was no congressman you could ever call that was going to change the law for you because it was never done accidentally. Call from 612-421-1511. Of course, this is how it always works. If I do a live stream, the phone rings. So anyhow, and because it was never no accident, then you have to realize that with it not being an accident, you're not going to change anything. To change something, we have to first fight back. And Mgtow was a really good idea because it was a subtle way of fighting back. Simply walking away from women, not just marriage, not just relationships, but walking away completely, okay, from women. Guys that are already with women, if you could make it work out, do your best to make it work out. I wasn't time down on anybody about that. But if you've been dumped on and squatted on, and the divorce courts, no fault divorce is taking you to the cleaners, and the woman's using you and lying to you and manipulating you and cheating on you, treating you lower than a piece of dirt, which is what the majority of society is doing to each other, then walking away from your opposite gender was the best solution out there. Not getting involved, not getting into a relationship, period, and not worrying about sex. I've never heard of anybody dying from lack of. Okay. And you could suffer through not having sex for 5, 10 years, and don't say you can't. We have millions of TFLers out here that have never had sex in their damn life because they've been denied it and pushed out. In a world that's full of over sexualized people, and they were pushed out, and every time they bring something up, you call them names, you make fun of them, you blame them for what they didn't do to themselves. Meanwhile, you know what's happening to them, you know what's real, and a lot of you guys are one step away from being there yourself, and you fear it. Why do you think there's so many white simps, men who will not stand up to their women? Because they're so afraid of losing her. And they know if they lose her that they're going to be so hard pressed to find another woman in their life. Now that is sad. That shouldn't be happening. That's the result of you placing that woman above your own self. That is the result of you worshiping her between her legs. And as long as you claim you're Mgtow and think it ain't walking away from women and you're walking your own path, then that means anybody can be Mgtow. Literally anybody. And that is not the definition. That's not what it was intended for. That's not what it's supposed to be. That is what mainstream media wanted you to do, and you're doing exactly what they wanted you to do. So once again, the powers to be at the top are laughing at you. And you got the big sucker sign wrote across your forehead. Whether you see it or not, you're a sucker, okay? And I don't like seeing that, and I don't want you to be made a fool out of. I want you to understand where I'm coming from. Now, I didn't say there was going to be anything easy about changing this because we are all victims of the people at the top because we've allowed it, because we didn't stand up for ourselves, because we're scared of authority. It's sad. And then we got so many people that are just order followers for the money, for the tool. Yeah, that's what I call money, the tool. And they'll do anything for that tool, including throw you under a bus. And because we have the loss of care in society and everybody cares about everybody their selfish selves, that's even sadder. It really is. It's even sadder. So, it's one of them situations where I can only say that unless we wake up to what's really going on and we're willing to stop ignoring what's going on and start taking it seriously, and you're willing to fact check your own self and correct your own inappropriate behaviors onto somebody else and practice doing unto others that you want done unto yourself, because that is the first step that we all have to take on an individual basis. Because until we can do that, you're not going to get anywhere anyhow. You've already lost. You can't win because you've already lost. And for those who out there say we can't do anything about this, the system's too big, you threw in the white towel, you threw in the towel, you gave up, you surrendered without even fighting, you're going to die a coward on your knees. Because this is how history always replays itself. It's through that mentality. When in Doubt couldn't have won with his Project Mayhem because When in Doubt doesn't understand where the problem comes from. and he's willing to fall for mainstream media BS and don't want to give up worshiping what's between the woman's leg, which she sees this, knows this, she continues to hold the power over him. The government's going to continue to put the women on their side. It's no accident that Mgtow went mainstream. They had to so they could destroy it. And that's exactly what they done. And too many guys out here just can't see it because they're not awake. They think they're awake when they're not. They think there's actually a Republican and a Democrat. They actually think there's two sides. And there's not. Okay? Never has been. But you can't get it through some of these people's heads because they're just going to believe whatever's fed to them. And they're going to take it to heart and believe it so hardly that they will fight for the lie. And this is what we see going on. And of course, that's setting yourself up for a failure because you're not understanding what's going on. And this is the reason I said it's critical to understand the root cause. Once you can understand the root cause and just back up and observe what's going on around you in society, you will figure it out and see it in your face and you'll be like, oh my God. And once that clicks, then you'll realize where I'm coming from. Then you'll realize how hard this is going to be to turn this around. They've spent decades and decades and decades doing this to us. And believe me, I feel for men who can't get somebody in their life, but I also feel for you getting somebody in your life because I know what you're going to be facing. Because men and women alike, we're all victims of this. It's just we're on two different ends of the way it goes. Women are the ones that get all the perks, even though they're still victims. But they've been programmed to self-destruction mode, and they don't even know they have. And they'll destroy the man plus themselves. And men have been programmed to worship them, to worship the one that's going to destroy him and themselves. And they just keep running right back down the same rabbit hole, you know. It's like when I was talking with Warren, and I want to see men and women come back together again, but I want us to see us treat each other equally. I want us to forget about the differences. We all understand there's a difference between man and woman. There has to be, or you wouldn't have a child. But the differences aren't as great as what's been fed to you by your school system and your media. That's been deliberately fed to you that we have all of these differences to cause the division it's caused. Believe me, if we had all the differences they're claiming we have, you wouldn't be able to get her pregnant. She wouldn't give birth to a baby boy. We don't have all them differences. And when you put your focuses in on what they've fed to you, you're doing exactly what they want you to because that will destroy the relationship. Just like roles. Where did you ever get that a woman's role is this and a man's role is that? You got that from another human being who knew that would destroy you. And people would get tired of being told what they're supposed to do, what they can and can't do by another human being. Yeah, you can have a percentage of population that's going to just go along and say, well, it's just the way it is, and accept it. It's no different than bending over and putting a lube and saying, I just the way it is, man. I'm accepting it. To me, it's just disgusting. I don't want to go there with people. I want what's right for all of us. And I understand this world's in the shape it is because we've allowed it to get this way. It's no different than the control freaks who want to always be over the top of somebody else. They don't want what's right for everybody. They want only what's right for them. And they want you to think with their brain. They want you to act the way they tell you to act, and they want to look down at you like they're a god and you're just some peasant. And we're surrounded by this, and we've allowed this to happen. And all we do is just keep doing the same things that always fail over and over and over. And when it comes to the genders, this is a good example. It's not the first time in history there's been a feminist movement. It's not the first time in history that the division between the genders has happened. Okay? The difficulties that we face is because it's always been socially engineered since the beginning of the time. And it's because you got people who want to be the superior one, want to be telling you what you can and can't do, telling you how you're supposed to act, and they want to tell both genders what they're supposed to do and give them their roles in life. And they're other human beings just like you and I. And they don't have that right. They only have it because we was weak and we stood back and we fell for it. And I don't blame you for falling for it because I was just supposed to know when you grew up as a baby and a child and through your childhood, all you was doing is lied to. And everybody around you is following the lie. You want friends, you want to fit in, you follow the lie too. You don't even know it's a lie because you've never looked to see or never backed up and thought about it critically, what's going on. And then every time a society collapses, it's always the same things over and over. And you create another society and you build it on the same things that failed. Then it fails again. Then you repeat it and it fails again. And then you repeat it and it fails again. You don't want to look at what you're doing. See, if both genders were equal, and then you got these people who want to say, well, no, we can't be equal because she has differences, or you got idiots that come along and say, well, if we were equal, that means we'd all be living in the exact same size house, same color, same everything. Be wearing the exact same clothes, eating the exact same food, having the exact same. No. That's somebody who wants to be a control freak, who don't want equal because they want to be above somebody else. So therefore, they're going to manipulate the word equal to destroy the word equal like they did Mgtow. Because they don't want that. They want to be God. They want to be superior to somebody else. They want that supremacy. They want that power, that domination at all costs, regardless of who they have to run over. And remember the parasites. That's what they are. They're parasites. They are the problem. They keep history replaying itself. And they keep us right where we're at. Sad. It really is. When we should be standing up to these creeps. And when you take that mentality, everybody should attack you and hate you. And nobody should listen to anything you ever say. Until you can change your own mind and recognize somebody else as a human being and you're not some god above them. You know, it's that mentality that destroys, just like with the church system and the family unit. And the man was the head of the household. He's the dominant one. And the woman is the submissive one who's supposed to bend over and take it. And oh, no, 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 we're going to give power exchange. We're going to exchange what we're going to tell you to do. And you're going to live to the role we tell you. It's no different back in the day when it came to religion and you didn't want to believe what somebody else wanted you to believe, so they cut off your head. They killed you because you wouldn't believe what they wanted you to believe. See, it's the same thing. It's complete, utter corruption by other human beings who want that, and they're criminals. They are the parasites. They are the ones you have to attack and take out. And if it means they're going to try to kill other people to make you listen to their want, you take them out. And I hate to say that, and I don't like to preach violence, but sometimes you're left with no choice. Nobody wants to go there. We shouldn't have to go there. That's the reason I've always said since the beginning of time, mankind's epic failure was their ability to grow up. That was the epic failure of mankind, was the ability to grow the hell up. Sad. It really is. It shouldn't happen. And there's nothing I can do about that. I can tell you from my own experiences in my life and from what I witness and what I see, and because I actually have care, I really do. I care about all of this, even though you may not think I do. I actually do. I don't like to see men and women fighting each other. I don't like to see millions of men going without a woman because they're pushed out. I don't like to see the labeling of calling each other names and geeks and nerds and faggots and retards and whatever other damn name you can come up with to slam somebody down. I don't like to see this behavior out of people. Because you don't get along with somebody doesn't mean you have to be their friend and hang out with them, go home and live with them. It means you grow up and you learn how to agree to disagree and you don't argue and you work together when you're on a job and you go your own way at the end of the shift. It's called growing up. It's called allowing other people their own beliefs and not mocking them and calling them names and making fun of them for their belief. So when I said that people failed to grow up since the beginning of the time, I never joked about it because that is the epic failure of mankind. The failure to grow up. The ability to think that you always have to have a leader, which is like the daddy mentality. Gotta have daddy to hold my hand through life. I'm 50 years old and I still need to hold my daddy's hand because I couldn't take care of myself. Or I gotta be a dictator. I gotta tell everybody else what to do, but I don't want to be told what to do myself. No, because I'm above them. It's a sick mentality. And most of it comes from man-made materials, man. The monetary system, money, all man created. And they use it for us to live on and use it to control us, and it works. And when some people get more of it than other people, they let their heads swell up and they think somehow they're more of a man than you, they're better than you, they're above you, when they're not. It absolutely corrupts the human mind. And unfortunately, when I said anybody can be Mgtow, I'm not kidding you. They completely destroyed Mgtow. And all these people say, oh, it's getting bigger. It's growing. Look at how big Mgtow's getting. And then you go around and you start listening to these so-called Mgtowers and you realize what they're preaching and you realize that, well, hell, the definition of Mgtow is you're a man. That there's two genders, female and male. And men have finally recognized they're a male. Yep, there's the definition of Mgtow. We reinvented it. Somehow over time we must have forgot that there was really two genders, female and male. And somehow with all the male bashing and male shaming, you forgot you was a male, a man. You forgot that a boy grew up to be a man. And you had to have Mgtow to remind you that you're a man. So anybody that has a penis between their legs can be a man going their own way now. All the qualifications to be in Mgtow nowadays is, do you have a penis? Yes. Okay, you qualify, you can go your own way. You're in a loving relationship with a woman. You love her, she loves you, which is like a dinosaur's egg in today's society, right? So I'm being sarcastic about the ones that actually knew what they were doing. And they really have somebody in their life that they love, and that person loves them, and they don't have drama. No, they don't have the day skills of how to destroy. They actually get along. That's right. They don't have drama. They know how to compromise. and they're really in love. And guess what? He can still be a man going his own way. He sure can. And he can have her hand in hand with him while he goes his own way. That is the definition of Mgtow in today's society. Because you went with what mainstream media told you. And this is why I stepped away from When in Doubt. Because When in Doubt literally has went with mainstream media philosophy. And I don't, and I'm not knocking the guy down. I'm not blaming him for it. I don't dislike him. Okay? I just know that he's not educated and don't know what he's doing. He's following what everybody else is doing that don't know what they're doing because they don't understand the root cause. And they don't understand that Mgtow did stand for going your own way, away from women, walking away from women. And walking away from women is what needed to happen. But because you're worshiping the vagina, you're not willing to do it. Because you don't care about somebody else, you're not willing to look at your own behaviors. Look how bad it got when all I did was ask a simple question for them to respect TFLers and incel guys if they go on Steve Hoka's live stream, or if they were on my live stream and it was a TFL topic, to respect TFLers and incels and not be talking about how much sex you're getting. And instead, I got told that they need to rise above. Same thing as telling them man up. The same thing as rubbing salt in a wound. This tells me they're unable to help these guys anyhow. They want to call them brother and say, we're here to help you. And then they take the salt shaker and fill their handful of salt and rub it in their wound and say, I'm helping you. And then they can't figure out why they're mad at them. Because they didn't have care. And they didn't have respect for others, mutual respect. And without care and mutual respect, you can't help nobody. Sorry, you're just deluded. You believe you can do something you're not able to do because you haven't got the skills or the talents to do it. Because you're not backing up and using critical thinking skills. And that is recognizing right from wrong. TFLers and incel guys did not ask to be where they're at. They really seriously did not ask to be there. The majority of them done everything society told them to do. Literally broke their ass to do everything they were told to do, and then just like anybody else, did the exact same things everybody else did and was turned down in 1 to 5 seconds over and over again. And of course, y'all know how rejection hurts. And don't tell me you don't, because there's too many men that I've witnessed and watched that won't stand up to their woman for fear of losing her. And that all tells you one thing. They had a really hard time finding her. And they don't want to be back in them shoes again themselves. But there they are, and most people that are in a successful relationship are not frequenting men going their own way, not frequenting TFL, love shy, incel. No, you don't hang in these sites and you're not found on dating sites. People who are in this situation are the ones that are found in these places. It's common sense. And people don't even want to practice that anymore. I don't think common sense exists. I think it's like the dinosaur egg. A lot of people don't even know what common sense is. Oh, they'll say they understand common sense and they know what it is, but their actions scream different. Their actions tell me they don't. Because actions have always spoke louder than words. Always. So, you cannot help those who do not want to help themselves. First rule of thumb. You have to want to help yourself first. And if you're strong enough to help yourself and you're happy with your life from deep inside, you're really content and happy with your life, and you have care in you and you want to help other people, then you need to use that care to help other people. And this is only one of the thoughts that I found with When in Doubt. Because when I brought up not to speak about sex on live stream with TFLers and incels, he slammed me for that and said he'll do that if he wants, and that these guys need to rise up, rise above. So I slammed him back, okay, because he slammed these guys, and that right there says he's not really here to help, or he had never done that. Because that's not what somebody who's here to help people do to people that you're trying to help, okay? That's what a hypocrite does. That's what somebody who don't know what they're doing, okay? That's all. And I don't, like I told you, I don't dislike him. I just know that he's not really understanding what's taking place in society, and he's running with mainstream narrative. And because he's running with mainstream narrative, who has completely destroyed men going their own way, how can I expect him to do anything different because he's not educated himself to the truth? I can only hope that he'll educate himself to the truth and open his eyes and back up and start looking around himself and really start thinking about what he's doing. Okay, that's all I can hope he'll do. He seems to be an intelligent guy. Yes, well, the title does, because when it comes to men going their own way, since the definition has been skewed, this is to Calvin, okay? Since the definition has been destroyed by mainstream media, okay, then literally anybody can be Mgtow. That's right, any man can be Mgtow, a man going their own way, because they're just walking their own path. Okay, and that's really what that is. But unfortunately, it would have taken not walking your own path and realizing that they needed to walk away from women, sex and all, giving women absolutely no options on nothing, because that's the only way women would have backed up and started examining their own behaviors. And the biggest crux of this whole damn thing is people have to back up and recognize right from wrong, and on an individual basis be willing to examine their own behaviors and to try to change their own behaviors to do right unto others. Do on one as you want done unto yourself, that old philosophy. Because on an individual basis, that's really the only way we can correct what's going on. But everybody's too busy with their damn games of dumping on somebody else, wanting to be above somebody else, not wanting to take responsibility, and wanting to be the perpetrator and attack somebody else and be the victim both. So you're going to play the victim card while you're being the perpetrator, and further victimize the victim that you victimized. This is what our society is doing. It saddens me to see it, because I actually care about everybody. And I only want what's right for everybody. And I want men and women brought back together again, not separate of each other. But I want us to recognize each other as human beings and stop doing wrong unto each other. And it's going to be hard with women, because you sit there and put women above yourself your whole life. You sit there and pampered them and placed them on a pedestal and didn't hold them accountable when they actually should have been held accountable, and you corrupted them. They recognized the power they got over you when you sit there and worship their damn vagina. And if you just stop that behavior, how are you ever going? That's why I said Mgtow is such a joke. It's absolutely filled full of men that don't even know what the hell they're doing. And the only thing they are doing is just helping the problem stay alive and healthy. The globalists love you. You're doing exactly what they want you to do. And I know people, I've made a lot of people mad telling the truth because they don't want to hear the truth. And And I just don't really give a shit if I make you mad telling truth, because this just means you needed to hear it to begin with. But it's like the guy that gets wounded by truth, that claims they're a truther. You're going around making videos and claiming you're a truther and speaking all this shit, and then you get wounded by truth. That just shows you was never a truther. That's all that shows. Because if you're a real truther, you don't get wounded by truth. Okay, that's just as plain and day right in your face. A real truther don't get wounded by truth. Only frauds and fakes get wounded by truth that are claiming to be truthers. And then, of course, they wouldn't want you calling them out on their fraudulent, hypocritical behavior, being hypocrites. But unfortunately, I see it all over the place. I doubt it. I understand what you're saying. This is to Wolf Martin. That if we talk to women and let them know the system is against them, that they'll change. No, I don't think they will, because I don't think they'll see it. Because the system has purposely did the engineering so that the woman's getting the perks. And all they're seeing is the perks that's being given to them. Do you understand that? So therefore, they're not seeing the reality, and they don't even see that men are being abused. Very few of them will. And what women do see that the men are being dumped on won't speak up against other women. So I don't think that's an option. I understand what you're saying, and I don't see that being an option. Maybe for a few women, if they were awake to what was going on, they might understand it. But then will they actually speak up against their own gender? Because it's not about man hating or woman hating. It's about hating corruption and hating wrongdoing onto each other. That's what fires me up. Do you understand that? It's not about the hatred of women or the hatred of men. It's about wrongdoings that we are doing onto each other. It's about recognizing right from wrong. It's about us having the ability to recognize each other for who we are as human beings. And not put differences in front of it, and not worry about gender roles, because where did gender roles come from? Another human being. And you're going to sit there and tell another human being what their roles are in life. But yet, if somebody told you what your rules are in life and you don't agree to it, you're not going to agree with them, and they ain't going to change a damn thing. You know? Well, yes, I understand what David M. just said. The majority of Mgtows hate women. It's not hard to hate people who are corrupt to you. The majority of Mgtows also hate simps, because the behavior is corruption. You're treating each other wrong. And what can I say? Of course you hate people who treat you wrongly. Why would you not dislike somebody who's dumping all over you? See, that's where that really comes from, and it's not a gender thing. The programming from NWO social engineering has deliberately done this. And simps who place women above themselves and don't hold women accountable that are corrupt, and we don't hold women accountable, and the corrupt court system who slaps them in the hand and sends them home, while the guy who done the exact same crime goes to prison, she gets an excuse, get out of jail free card. Then you say, God, I hate this and blah, blah, but you don't understand that it is literally NWO. It is literally programming and social engineering and people playing into that. And going along with mainstream narrative, social engineering. Our behaviors. It's not backing up and recognizing each other as human beings. Mgtow itself was actually the right answer, but too many Mgtows think that I'm a man going my own way while I'm holding my woman's hand and putting my penis in her at night, I am going my own way. And I have seen that from so many Mgtowers, it makes me sick. So this is why I said literally Mgtow stands for you're a male, you're a boy, you're a man, you're a guy. Your gender is male, you have a penis. That's all Mgtow stands for. It don't stand for nothing more than that. So any man on the face of the earth, regardless of what position they're in, can be Mgtow. And you go say, no, it don't stand for that. Well, hold on, let's see. If Mgtow don't stand for a man going his own way, walking away from women, and it stands for a man taking his own path, and then you listen to all these Mgtowers talking about getting laid and all the sex they're getting, then obviously they haven't walked away from women. Their path is to still play all the games, jump through all the same hoops, and pamper the woman, and lie and deceive the woman. Or my mentality is, I am going to pump and dump. See, I'm going to get even with her foul wrongs by doing foul wrongs onto her, and I can't figure out why we're at war with each other, huh? That's really where that comes from. Couldn't figure out why we're mad at each other. All we do is keep dumping on each other. I know why she'd be mad when I dumped on her. Because she dumped on me. Oh, now she's dumping on me again, so I'm going to dump on her. I know a bunch of 3-year-olds that get into fights all the time. Little children, at least they have an excuse. They're children. They're 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. They haven't learned yet. They got an excuse. You as adults don't have an excuse. You should have already learned. Sorry, epic failure of mankind, their ability to grow up again. It's always been this way because we always repeat history. And because we always repeat history, the same things happen over and over and over and over and over again. Look back in your history, go back 200-300 years and follow it up. You'll see that everything keeps replaying itself. Huh, wonder why, huh? Well, that's because you keep doing the same things over and over. You're not willing to change anything. And if you're not willing to change anything, how do you think it's going to work out? I mean, that's sort of like, I know when I touched the positive wire to the negative wire, it blew the breaker. Well, maybe this time after I reset the breaker, if I touch the two together, it won't blow it. Damn it, it blew the breaker again. Okay, I'll reset it and I'll wait 10 minutes and I'll try it again. Damn it, it blew it again. And you just keep redoing that over and over and over. This is what our society's doing. Why do you think I said men and women have to be equal? Equal. And equal, when I say equal, I mean she don't have more rights than you. You don't have more rights than her. If she does a crime, she's held accountable like you are. She does the same amount of time as you. That's right. This is the type of equal I'm talking about. We forget about the differences between the genders and we focus in on she's a human being and I'm a human being. Is things that's never been done, like especially that. Nobody's ever done that and it says, well, it won't work. But you know what's funny about that? It's never ever been done in history. It's never ever been done in history, and you're going to say it won't work, but everything you've done keeps failing over and over and over. So how can you say it won't work when it's never been done? Well, because you decided it wouldn't work, right? You made your mind up to that, right? So I'm going to repeat what they've already done and then wonder why it failed. It's sort of as simple as that. If you look at each other as human beings and forget about the differences, because believe me, if all the differences that was reported was true, You wouldn't be here anyhow because you couldn't give birth to your baby because there'd be too many differences. She's a human being, and so are you. It's just common sense. It's like gender roles, telling each other what your roles in life is. Then you wondered why it don't work out, huh? Not everybody agrees to the roles that are given to them, and then they're told they're supposed to do it by other human beings. And that's really where that comes from. Okay, so that's why I said people have lost their damn minds, man. You don't understand that this is men and women are both human beings. You don't have a right to tell somebody else what their roles in life is. You don't own that right. You're not their God. But we have all these people with God mentalities who want to sit there and dictate and tell somebody else, but they don't want to be told themselves. See, and this is corruption. But this has all been socially engineered, every last bit of it. And I try to get this in people's minds because when I first seen Mgtow, when Barbara Rolster first come out with Mgtow, it was to walk away from women. It literally was. When he first spoke about men going their own way, was to walk away from the opposite gender. Now, as sad as that is, that was literally the answer. The hard part of it is we would have had to go on 5 years or a decade with women having absolutely no men coming at them and all men turning them down and not even sleeping with them. And that wouldn't have been easy for men to do, but that's what it would have taken because then women would have backed up and started thinking. And then they would have saw their flaws and how we were treating each other. And they would have said, oh God, and they would have changed their behavior. But see, this is why it's important on an individual basis, regardless of gender. You have to start recognizing right from wrong, back up on an individual basis, think about your own behavior, correct the wrongs, and do unto others that you want done unto yourself. And nobody wants to do that because it takes personal responsibility and effort on your side. And I ain't got time for that. That means I'd have to work on my own self. I ain't got no flaws. This is how people act. I know there's nothing wrong with me. My ego told me so. Okay? And meanwhile, you go on and represent the same behaviors that's been programmed into you. And you continue the division. Then you scratch your head and say, I wonder why I can't fix that, huh? What can I do, man? Fucking people have to fucking understand this. So I keep driving the message and driving the message and driving the message to try to get you to understand that. This is where I come from. And like I told you, it's not about hating on women. It's not about hating on men. It's about hating on corruption. It's about hating on wrong behaviors. It's about hating on treating somebody the way you wouldn't want to be treated yourself. That's what this is really about. And that's why I act the way I act. Because I literally do not hate women. I never have hated women. And I don't hate men. I care about us as human beings and I want what's right for us as human beings. And I'm fighting a fight full of people who don't want that. They want to be above somebody else. They don't have that right. I'm not here to tell you what to do. That's all this is, and I'm not trying to be an ass to anybody. But this is where I come from. This is why you hear me say what I say. Because we have to get care back, and that care needs to be for each other, we have to start recognizing right from wrong. And Mgtow needs to understand that if you're going to keep changing, if you're going to go with mainstream's narrative to destroy the definition of Mgtow, and you're going to say it just means walking your own path, then anybody can be Mgtow. Anybody. Including the married man who's happily married, in love with his wife. She's in love with him, and they have children. He can walk his own path hand in hand with her in his arms, and he would still be going his own way. Seriously, you're going to say, well, no, he's not. Well, yeah, he is. I'm just going with the definition that when in doubt says it stands for, which is came from mainstream media. Because they couldn't have you go your own way, because that would have actually corrected the problem. Couldn't have that. We spent decades social engineering you into your behaviors. We don't want the women to back up and think about their wrongs. We don't want men to back up and think about their wrongs. We don't want you to recognize it's as easy as recognizing your wrongs and wrong from right. It's as easy as caring about each other to fix this. Couldn't have that now, could we? So, I'm about out of here anyhow. But I came up and gave my rant about Mgtow, and anybody can be Mgtow. I'm going to go with when in doubt statement about walking your own path, and just let you know that if that's the case, you're going to go with mainstream narrative. You've lost. You will never change a thing. Project Mayhem is a complete, utter joke, because you couldn't change a thing because you don't know what you're talking about. And to go with his definition, a happily married couple can walk arm in arm and be Mgtow. That's right, him and her. She's Wigtow. She's a woman going her own path. He's Mgtow. He's the man going his own path. But they like each other's path, so this week we'll go down her path, next week we'll go down his path. Because we like each other's path. Oh, and the way to correct the problems, of course, is you got to give her ammunition to fire back at you. By she does me wrong, so I'll do her wrong. By 3-year-old mentality. Yep, all you got to do is be 3 years old in your brain or 4 years old in your brain, and you know that if she does you wrong, you got to do her wrong. So that you can keep the cat fight going and the dog fight going, so you can keep that division alive and healthy, right? And then wonder why you can't never fix anything, huh? That's really what that comes down to. And then you're going, I don't understand why I can't correct this. Why does this problem keep happening? And when I look at history, that's what you see is, why does this problem keep replaying itself? I said that to Warren yesterday when we were on the phone. And Warren made the statement to me, I don't know if being equal between men and women would work. He says, they're hypergamous. I don't think it'll work. And I says, but how would you know if it would ever work when nobody's ever done it throughout history, even from the beginning? And Warren thought a minute. He says, you're right. It's never been done. We just keep doing the same thing over and over. And I says, that's right. What is so hard about treating another human being like a human being? I mean, seriously, what is so hard about that? There's nothing hard about it. You said, well, but there's differences between man and woman, and I keep saying that, but the reality is if there was as many differences, then that we would not be here because she could not give birth to a child. We are both human beings and gender roles, but she has to go with that role, and we have to go with our role. What? Because somebody else made rules up for you? They told you because of your gender, you had to do this, 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 and that. And she has to do this, this, that, and that. And who decided that for you? Another human being that wanted the division, that wanted this hypocrisy that we're facing. Who said that? What if she's not happy with that? What if she wants to be the one to do this? To show it because she's a female, she's not allowed to? Oh, what if you want to do this? Well, you're a male, you're not allowed to? Who says? Some other human being? Seriously, who says? Then you would wonder why you can't get along, huh? You'd wonder why it keeps failing over and over and over. It's just, it's ridiculous. You got to really start backing up and thinking. And I know you can. So this is really where it comes from. So, it's just one of them things, man, that you need to figure this out. What I'm telling you is the truth. You need to care enough because I can't do this by myself. And you don't like when you see what's going on. And you got to really think about it for seriously, and it's like I told you, it's not a gender issue because the problem is simple. I recognize the corruption created by women and created by men. I recognize where it came from, who done it to us, why they done it to us, and I also know the way that it has to be to stop that. And it's as simple as that. It was no accident that we're divided the way we are. And only we as a people can fix that. And we can't fix that short of recognizing right from wrong, correcting our own selves, and doing unto others that we want done unto ourselves. It has never been gender related. It's not even race related. Because think about race. We have the same problem with race. Your skin's black, you're this, you're that, and you can't do that, and you're discriminated against. Hope your skin's white, you're discriminated against. Hope your skin's brown, you're discriminated against. See, the same problem with race. What the hell are you doing looking at somebody else's skin and judging them by that? Are you out of your damn mind? They're a human being just like you are. See, now, do you understand? These problems have all been given to us. They have been socially engineered from the top down. And there's nothing more I can do other than tell you what you need to hear. And you need to take it seriously and take it to heart. Because only if you take it seriously and take it to heart, and we start doing this on an individual basis and it goes viral, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? And we get men and women alike to do the same thing, to back up, examine their own behaviors. And with women, it's going to be harder, though, because, see, we have placed them above us with social engineering. We have excused wrong behaviors and looked the other way. We have slapped them in the hand and sent them home for the same crime the guy did that we sent to prison for 10 years or 20 years. These women recognize that you're worshiping their vagina. So it's going to be harder to get women to not want that power. That is the reason men needed to walk away from women and not give them the time of day, including sex, in massive numbers, because it is the only way you'll wake them up to where they'll back up and start thinking and go, damn. Then we could come back together again. I don't want to see men and women separated, but I think at this point, the only way to straighten this out is by separating men and women for a good decade. A good decade of nobody able to have sex, of women not able to get anything, not got to get a child, not get any of their wants, have to get everything on their own, and no guy will give them the time of day or their attention. They'll back up and start thinking, what the hell's going on? But if you're going to go, we're walking our own path, and you're going to keep jumping through the hoops and playing the games to get into their pants and worshiping their vagina, you've lost. You couldn't win if you tried. And with that, guys, I'm out of here, and you have a good one.